Airline stocks surging today after the U.S. and Iran said that the Strait of Hormuz is open as long as the ceasefire holds for commercial vessels. For more on what this means for travel, Brian Kelly, founder of The Points Guy, joins us now, and he's also the author of the book, How to Win at Travel. Brian, great to see you this morning. And look, airlines have been coping with this in real time. Some have raised prices. In the case of Europe, they've been canceling routes. If the price of jet fuel comes down, if the strait does remain open, how quickly can airlines again adjust to this?
Yeah, well, the airlines needed good news because it's been pretty terrible news lately. This is certainly a good signal, but we are not out of the woods yet. And in fact, airlines have already raised fares almost across the board, especially internationally, especially in business class. And we've even seen a lot of cancellations. And while a lot of them are short-haul flights within Europe, yesterday Lufthansa abruptly closed their regional subsidiary almost overnight. But we are seeing LA to Paris, Air France. My friends just had a flight canceled for later this summer. So number one, for anyone flying to Europe anytime soon, track your reservations in an app like Flighty because they are changing. They're changing aircraft types. Your seats might get reassigned. So it's going to be bumpy. But certainly this is good news. I don't expect prices to lower anytime soon on this, but we could avert the impending jet fuel shortage crisis, which is looming, especially for Europe and Asia.
So maybe we avoid that. But Brian, what does it take to get prices back down? If you're someone who's waiting to buy a flight, how long do you need to wait in order to get prices to feel a little bit of gravity?
Yeah, I think we would need weeks of oil shipments flowing through the strait with ease, which we've not seen yet, although today's announcement is sort of good news, but also, you know, it's by no means back to normal. I think we would need several weeks of that to really see potentially airfare come down, but I just don't see that happening. So my tip to anyone looking to book summer travel, do it now. Even private jets, book it now, lock in a price. Although they could always add in fees later. Cruises are starting to do that as well. So in general, I feel like the pricing now is as good as we're going to get for the time being.
Even so, Delta, for example, when they had earnings just about 10 days ago, said that bookings were generally strong, especially across premium and corporate travel. We know that they increased the baggage fees to help offset some of the rising costs. Is there a degree, Brian, where even if prices of oil and jet fuel start to come in, that it's a consumer that at least for the higher end traveler is willing to spend enough that maybe airlines keep some of the elevated prices that they have and keep some of the additional fees?
Oh, absolutely. It's a trend. Just this week, United launched basic fares in their Polaris business class international. So now, if you book the cheapest United business class, you don't get access to their beautiful lounge. You don't earn any miles unless you have elite status or a co-brand card. So the airlines are in full mode of how do we not only raise prices, but for those who are price sensitive, how do we strip away as well? So unfortunately for frequent travelers, it's not a great time as we see, you know, everything we used to get for free is now we have to pay for, and fares are going up. But, you know, I still used a ton of frequent flyer miles for travel this summer. Air France has 60,000 mile business class awards. So if you've got points, use them. If you got Amex points, there's a tool called Point Me that will actually search and give you tips. Another one is seats.aero. So, you know, don't just assume prices are really high the whole summer. There are still deals out there. You just need to know how to hunt for them.
Ryan, is that what's keeping this whole thing afloat and keeping people continuing to fly? Because I don't understand, with all of these annoyances, with the difficulty into getting a lounge, the need to get a card, making it harder to get miles, why hasn't there been more of a pushback from the everyday consumer?
Well, people love travel, and even, you know, millennials, Gen Z, they are the experienced generations. The urge to travel, that is the new luxury. It's not going away anytime soon. The airlines know it. And yeah, I mean, we've seen in the US this past, you know, 9 months, government shutdowns, long lines, and that has not slowed down travel. Right now, we're seeing in Europe, for anyone traveling to Europe this summer, the new EES system, we're seeing 2 to 4 hour lines because you now need to go to a kiosk, get your picture taken, get your fingerprints done. But we see all of this disruption not really impacting demand, which means, bottom line, people still want to travel. And if you look at hotel rates, especially luxury hotel rates in Europe this summer, you know, $4,000 for normal rooms. $4,000 is like the new $1,000. it's pretty wild that the demand is still so high.
Man, you add a World Cup to that this year, and I am just terrified for all the prices. Brian, we're almost out of time, so I do just want to, while we have you, get your reaction to the news early this week that United Scott Kirby had floated the idea to this administration on a tie-up with American Airlines. What was your take on that?
I mean, shock. I think this is really a PR play to get people talking about it. I also think it's a troll. This is American Airlines' 100th anniversary week, and all we're talking about is United potentially taking them over, which, Scott Kirby used to work as the president of American. So it's kind of a rib. And I do think it's setting expectations that this would never, I don't think, happen. The combined carrier would be twice the size of Delta, would not be good for consumers. We're living in an economy right now where voters, especially in a midterm year, are very conscious of increase in prices. We all know what a monopoly would do to airfare. So I think that was more of just ribbing his old employer, and also setting the tone so that they can eventually take over a carrier like JetBlue, which is much more likely.
I was going to say, Brian, does this not just bring into the conversation that maybe not a United American tie-up, but a different tie-up of sorts?
Yeah, Secretary Duffy has already said this administration is willing to approve. The Biden administration, I think it was a bad idea. They did not allow carriers like JetBlue and Spirit to merge. That would have been good for consumers, because now Spirit's on the brink of liquidation potentially this week. And when carriers go bust, that's not good for anyone. So allowing smaller carriers to band together would have been good for consumers, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. But I definitely sense some more consolidation while President Trump is in office.